Hi, I'm Dennis Dean, and we're back today with more Tornador repair and maintenance tips. The problem I have here today is I've got a gun handle that I'm rebuilding, and when I plug the air in, it keeps blowing air without even pulling the trigger. So there's an issue inside here with the plunger assembly. Same thing with this tool here. I'm going to plug it in. You're going to watch. I'm not even going to pull the trigger. Okay, and it's blowing air. Okay, here's the one we're going to work on. And you can hear it. It's still blowing air. So it tells me the plunger assembly needs servicing. Okay, before you service the plunger assembly, I highly recommend that you have a backup of the pin and screw. This pin and screw is really important to have because at the factory, what they'll do is when they mount this pin and screw, they'll put a little drop of thread locker in there. And I've taken these off before when the thread locker has done such a good job I break the screw. So I take a flat blade screwdriver, put it in there. I'm going to come over and loosen up the other side. Honest. Flat blade screwdriver. Okay. Well, I'm going to be able to use this pin and screw. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put this screw in my palm of the hand so you can see there's a little thread locker in there. It's really hard to see, but that's what they'll put on at the factory. And if that sets up and it gets really dry, sometimes you can damage that. And you want to replace it. Pull this pin out here. Okay, I'm going to be able to reuse that. And I'm going to make sure I wipe it down and get it all clean. My trigger's fine. There's really nothing wrong with it. But, you know, there are replacement parts for all of this. Okay, now the next thing, I'm going to put this back in the vise. We're going to grab this as a 14mm wrench, and we're going to take this plunger assembly out. And before I pull out the plunger assembly, I want to inspect this nut and this O-ring. If this O-ring gets damaged, it might be leaking air also, but this one's really pretty good. They usually hang in there pretty good. You don't need to replace them, but there are replacement parts for this too, be it the O-ring or the nut complete itself. Okay, I'm going to grab a pair of needle nose here, and I want to pull that out real slowly. Okay, there's our culprit right there. You can see the spring is broken at the end. Let's compare it to a new plunger assembly. Obviously, this spring here is not broken, and this one is. Okay, one thing to remember, once you take this out, if you see that spring is broken, where's the other piece? Chances are it's inside of the handle. So you want to give that a tap. Make sure that is totally empty in there and there's no debris in there. You can plug air into it and potentially blow out any debris, but here we're in pretty good shape. So let's put that back in there. Okay, so you can get just the spring, and that spring presses on there. So you can get the spring individually on a parts list and reuse this. But this one's got quite a bit of wear on it. I think I'm going to put a new one in. CT420 plunger assembly, best way to go. Okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it inside of the gun housing here. I'm going to give it a couple pushes to make sure, yeah, it's seated in there nice. I'm going to take the plunger assembly nut, going to get that started. You don't have to put a lot of torque on this when you tighten it. You don't want to smash that O-ring to where you'll damage it. So I'll put that on finger tight like that. Like I said, not super tight, just enough. That's about right. It's not going anywhere. Okay, now we're going to put the handle back on. You can use a vise if you want. It's easier for me just to take that pin drop it through here, get on the other side, get that lined up. Okay, so that one's rebounding really nice. I'm going to take that screw, put that in there, single edge, flat blade, tighten this up. Now, the factory put a little thread locker on there. I could still see it. And you can use theirs, but one thing, there's not a lot of screw thread on here. So you got to be really careful when you tighten this that you don't over tighten it and you damage the screw. Okay. Or if you got a little thread locker, just put a little drop on the screw there and that'll hold that tight. Okay. See, now it's rebounding really nice. But the next step that I want to do is remove this service port screw here. Get a bigger screwdriver. We're going to take this, we're going to back that screw out. Whenever I take something out, I always want to inspect it. See, that guy there, he's kind of grody looking, so I'm just going to take a little WD and squirt in here and give that a little shot. Wipe it down. Yeah, see, that looks a little bit better, okay? Now I'm going to take my 3-in-1. It's good for pneumatic parts, guns, tools, so I'm not going to put a lot in there. I'm just going to put a drop. Don't over lubricate it. Put that screw back in there. Okay, we're going to snug that down. I'm going to give my handle a couple pulls. See now, see how it's bouncing back on me now? Let's hook the air up and see how it sounds. Don't hear a thing. Nice air pressure. Okay, that's what you want right there. Installing a 420 plunger assembly. Remember those steps, check that spring, lubricate it. Hey, this handle is going to last me forever. I'm Dennis, another Tornador tip.